Hello, welcome to Part 3 at the University of Westminster. My name is Alistair Blythe and I am co-course leader of the Part 3 course here along with Wilfred Achille. And today we're just going to introduce you to our Part 3 course. I'm just going to run through very briefly the course itself, say a little bit about the course team, give an overview of the structure and modules on the course, talk a little bit about the assessment and entry requirements. So the course is primarily a 12-month part-time course. It can be completed over 24 months because we have what we call a self-deferral mechanism whereby you can delay the submission of your coursework modules by either 6 or 12 months, which means that you can delay the submission of the case study and career evaluation until the following January or indeed the June after that. The course is supported by professional practice tutors who will mentor you through your case study. It's also supported by recent Part 3 graduates who we call professional champions who will act as mentors. And we have lecturers from practice and industry. The lecture sessions are online and recorded. We do have a few on-campus workshops, and we do that because it's important, I think, for you to meet each other in real space and real time, but also we'd like to meet you too. And having done this over the last few years, we've certainly learned that that is important. So the course team, well, both myself and Wilfred as co-course leaders, Stephen Brookhouse, who has been a long-standing member and participant in the team. He actually leaves us at the end of July, and he wrote the Part 3 handbook when he was course leader and did the first edition, 18 years ago, when he was course leader. So it's very much a reflection on the course itself. And Suzanne Bauer, an important part of our course, she leads on 2 of the modules, and you will meet her in due course, and she's in the room this evening. And Amanda Paulesian, who you are more likely to get emails from than meet in person, but she is a cornerstone of the course as a course administrator and takes us through all the administration issues on the course. So the professional tutors, well, there's a gallery. There are some of the professional tutors we have. Their role, as I say, is to tutor you through the case study and also be your professional studies advisor, in other words, sign your PDRs. They're from architectural practice. They are in architectural practice. They come with a range of experience and indeed from a range of practice types, and some of whom, of course, did Part 3 with us. So we have quite a range of experience supporting the course. The Part 3 champions, as I say, they recent graduates from the Part 3 course. They also are in practice. We get them to facilitate some workshops in the first semester, although they do other ad hoc activities with the school and Part 3. And importantly, they act as your Part 3 mentors, and because they've been through the process fairly recently, they understand the trials and tribulations of trying to balance your work life with your Part 3 life and can give you lots of good advice on that. And it's been important for us to bring back Part 3 graduates as a way of continuing to engage people with the course beyond their Part 3 studies. So what does the course look like? Well, it's covered in 4 modules. 2 are exam assessed lecture-based modules. 2 are coursework assessed work-based modules. The law module, which is the first of the 2 exam-based modules I'll talk about, runs in semester 1, and as you can see, it covers what you might expect: the English legal system, contracts, regulatory framework, procurement, dispute resolution. We run this with online lectures that start at 6:15 on a Monday evening for a couple of hours. We will have a couple of workshops in semester one where we'll pick up on some specific issues, where you'll come onto campus to do some work on some particular issues that we pick up in that module. And that module concludes with an exam, a written exam, in January. We have been looking at whether to turn that into an assignment, but at the moment it's a written exam. So once you've passed the written exam, which most people do first time around, you'll have completed that module. The next module is the Architectural Practice Management, or APM module. Again, I suppose fairly straightforward in what it covers: from general management, practice management, marketing, risk, forms, practice, and professional bodies, and so on. Again, it's online. Lectures starting Monday evenings at 6:15, with a couple of workshops on campus during semester 2, and the exam takes place during the exam period, which is right at the end of April and early May. Those two modules, to an extent, could be viewed as a sort of giving you some of the abstract information that you may not have come across or may not have done much with. You may not have been involved in forming contracts with clients or contractors. For example, you may not have been involved in fee calculation and so on. So, it's bringing together some of the knowledge and understanding of those sorts of issues, and forming the backbone, if you like, or the building block for the case study, which is really a reflective piece of work where you reflect on a project, taking it from the point of it comes into the office to some point on site. And many of you will be working on projects that you will not have seen come into the office because that happened before you joined the practice, perhaps. So you will need to look back at how the practice got the job. You may have to look back at how it indeed secured planning consent. So you could be looking back and doing some research on a project, but nevertheless, the idea is you look at the process from the early stage right through to some point on site. Some people do this with two projects because it's easier to take an example or a case study that they've worked on from the beginning when the project comes into the office up until tender stage, and then from tender another project from tender until sometime on site. You don't have to finish the project on site, but it's just an opportunity to be able to talk about some of the cycles on site and issues on site, some of the cycles in terms of, say, variations and payments and so on. These are supported by some online some lectures and webinars to help you with the process of reflective analysis and so on. They are also supported by tutorials that you will have, both individual and group tutorials that you will have with your professional tutor. We divide you in groups of about 10 students per group, and really from January onwards you will meet and have tutorials with your tutor. And the assessment for that is both a written assessment. We mark your coursework and give you written feedback on your coursework in July to help you prepare for your oral in September. The final module is a professional development and experience module. Again, this is supported by the tutorials, and you, as part of that, not only do you carry on completing your PDRs while you are on the course, and it is a course requirement that you do, but you also write a reflective piece on your career to date, from the time you started in undergraduate education, architectural education, through to wherever you are at the time you finish it. So it's a piece looking back and thinking about and reflecting on your career experiences and looking a little bit forward to what you'll be doing in the future. You may have some ideas on that. Again, the coursework is assessed along with the case study coursework, and the oral is also focused on your professional development experience module. So just looking at the time frame over 12 months, if you like, a program. The law module runs in semester 1 with the exam in January, the APM, Architectural Practice Management, in the second semester with the exam in late April, early May. Professional development really runs all the way through, and most of you will submit all of your PDRs along with the final course submission in late in June. One or two of you may have to do another PDR so that you bring your total up to 24 months logged experience, which is the RIBA requirement, before you do the oral in September. We have a draft coursework submission which applies to both the professional development and case study in sort of just after mid-March. And then the latest date you can decide to defer your coursework submission is early May. So there's quite a bit of time for you to make that decision, and that decision is a work-based decision, really. Could be because your case study project has been delayed, or you've had to change jobs and therefore find a new case study, for those sorts of reasons. And the oral exam then takes place in September, late August, September, and you then receive the final course results in sort of the end of the first week, often in October. If you defer your coursework submission by 6 months, then you are submitting in, if you start this year, you would be submitting in January 2025. And if it was 12 months deferral, you'd be submitting in June 2025. So it gives you quite a lot of flexibility should the worst happen, and you don't pay extra fees for coursework deferrals. So that's all built into the course. So in summary, the assessment, there's written exams for 2 of the modules, and written coursework and orals for the case study and professional development and experience modules. To join the course, ideally you should have parts 1 and 2 already, and many of you will have that from if you did your undergraduate and MArch in the UK from ARB and RIBA accredited courses. If you did your courses outside the UK, what you would need to do, your undergraduate and postgraduate equivalent of part 1 and 2, outside the UK, you would need to contact the ARB to establish that you are able to take their prescribed exam for part 1 and 2, which is what you would have to do. And the reason I say that is that you need to check with them early on, is that there are occasions when people find that the courses they did aren't eligible for them to do that. So you just need to check it. The ARB don't mind you starting part 3 before you've actually finished part 1 and 2. But it's worth just making sure you check that. So we allow it as an exception that you can join us if you haven't got part 1 and 2 already, but it is essential that you check with the ARB that you can do that, that they will take you to do the part 1 and 2. A couple of myths that we have to dispel. First of all, you don't have to be in employment to start the part 3 course. Some people find that in the summer they are changing jobs, or they get made redundant, or for some other reason they're not actually at a practice when they start. That's fine. You can start the course. I mean, the critical thing is that by the time you do the oral, you have 24 months experience. And, if you do find that you change jobs either in the middle of the course or there's a delay in getting a job when you start the course, you can defer the coursework submission by, say, 6 months, which will allow you to get the 24 months experience that otherwise you may not be able to log. You don't have to have a case study project yet before you start, and that's something we will be able to discuss with you. And so don't worry about not having a case study project or not having the right kind of project, or a case study project being delayed, or project you wanted to use for your case study being delayed, and so on. We can talk it all through. We have options and ways of helping you manage through that process. So here are my details, my email address and Wilfred's email address. I've also put our Part 3 admissions administrator's email address, Samir Ali, who you would quite possibly have already heard from, should you have any issues. I'll now leave it to Wilfred and Suzanne to pick up any questions you have, any concerns. But once again, thank you very much for coming along this evening. I'm so sorry I can't be there with you, and I very much hope to meet you in due course when I'm a bit more mobile. So hope you have a nice evening, and like what you have heard and what you will hear from the others, and look forward to seeing you in September.